They walked through the door grinning, sunburnt, loud, reeking of ocean salt and cheap sunscreen. I wasn't there to greet them. The house looked unchanged at first glance, but it wasn't. The walls were naked, the shelves emptied, the room scraped clean of anything that had ever belonged to me. My desk, my chair, the TV I'd bought with my first paycheck, gone. Even the kettle I used every morning before school was missing. My mother screamed first. My father's voice followed. Their shouts ricocheted through the barren rooms like gunfire. They called my name as though someone had dragged me away in the night. But I wasn't missing. I had simply walked out of a place that had never really been mine. It began 3 weeks before their trip. They told me they couldn't afford to bring both of us. Both of us. As if I were some optional add-on, something you could return for a refund. My sister got the trip, just this once, they said. My mother insisted she needed the break. I didn't argue. I never did. That was my first mistake, mistaking silence for agreement. That night, as they folded dresses and sunscreen into a shared suitcase, I stood in the doorway. My father joked about me holding down the fort. My mother promised she'd bring something back for me. I smiled, nodded, wished them a good trip. They left before sunrise. I watched their car shrink down the street until the red taillights vanished. And in that moment, something inside me finally stopped begging to be noticed. Growing up, my sister had always been the golden child, the one who never had to ask twice. If I needed new shoes, the answer was no. We couldn't afford it. If she wanted concert tickets, we'd magically find a way. If I picked up extra shifts, my father said I cared too much about money. If she quit her job, my mother said she was overwhelmed. It wasn't jealousy that stung. It was the math of it. The imbalance, the silent tally of every favor dismissed, every effort brushed aside, every small thing they took without a second thought. And then that trip, that final, casual betrayal, the ease with which they said it. We can't afford to take two. They weren't talking about money. They were talking about me. The first day they were gone, I sat at the kitchen table. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I made a list. Every single thing in the house I had bought with my own money. The laptop, the couch, the dishes, even the little lamp in the living room no one used but me. And as I wrote, something cold and exact settled inside me. A plan, not spite for the sake of it. Not childish fury. Justice. Balance. I was done living in a place built on conditional love. I started small. Packed my clothes into duffel bags they never noticed me purchasing. Then the electronics. Every receipt still tucked away. Proof none of it belonged to them. The next day, I rented a storage unit 2 towns over. Paid cash 1 month up front. The clerk didn't pry. He handed me the key and looked the other way. By the end of the week, the house felt lighter, emptier. I emptied my room first, then the living room. On the final night, I stood in the center of that hollow space and realized it was the first time the house had ever felt peaceful. They texted me from the beach, photos of cocktails, sunset skies, my sister's beaming face filling half the frame. My mother in a wide-brimmed hat she'd found on sale. My father's arm slung around her shoulder. I responded to none of it. I was too busy signing the lease on my new place. Small, quiet, paid in full with the savings they always claimed I shouldn't hoard. That night, I left the house key on the kitchen counter, a single folded note beside it. Don't worry, I only took what's mine. No threats, no blame. Just the truth, written plainly, the way they always stated their excuses. By the time they returned, I was already 2 cities away. My phone lit up with calls, dozens of them, then messages, then nothing. Later, my sister sent one text. You're being dramatic. I didn't answer. Drama is loud. What I did was quiet, deliberate, final. Sometimes I picture their faces that night. My mother opening bare cupboards, realizing every mug and plate was gone. My father checking the garage and seeing the empty space where the bike I'd bought him used to sit. The slow dawning that everything they had ignored, dismissed, or taken without asking had simply gone back to its rightful owner. Maybe they thought I'd finally snapped, but no. This was clarity. The funny thing about leaving is that people only feel your presence once it's missing. They always assumed I'd wait. Wait for fairness, for affection, for the chance to be chosen next time. There would be no next time. I rebuilt my life quietly, found a new job, signed up for night classes, filled my apartment with all the things I had once bought for them, now used only by me. Sometimes, when the kettle whistles, I remember the morning I watched their car pull away, how easy it had been for them to leave me behind, and I smile because now I understand what it feels like to be the one who leaves first.